Hello, welcome to Tea with Mali. Today we're here with Dr. Jen Sims. She is with Blue Sky Health and Wellness. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So what inspired the name Blue Sky?
My children. I am a mom of two little boys, and my older son, his name is Jaden Blue, and my younger son's name is Parker Sky. So it was named after my kids.
Okay. And what else about your kids inspired you to really take on this doctor role in life? Did they have an influence on your decision to become a doctor, or did that happen before and then it was validated when they came into the world?
No, I did not have them right away. I was a doctor prior to having my children. However, I always knew I wanted them, and I always knew that I wanted to work with children. That's what gets me excited. That's my passion. So they were just a nice adjunct to already something that I knew I wanted to do.
A doctor of what?
I'm a chiropractor.
Okay.
A doctor of chiropractic, yes.
And that was something that came later on in life? Like were you inspired by someone? Did you have a mentor? Or did you see something? Did you watch television? I mean, it's very interesting what makes us or motivates us to choose a particular craft or industry, right? Well, what's your story behind that?
No, in fact, growing up, when I was little, the first thing I wanted to be was a special ed teacher. And then I changed my mind and I said, I want to be a social worker. And my mother looked at me and she said, honey, our house is not large enough for you to bring home everybody. So I don't think that would be good for you. So when I was 17, my parents split up and we moved to Northern Virginia, and I got a job as working in a chiropractor's office. And working there and going to school, I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know what that would look like. And working there, I would see people who were really sick and they were getting better. I would see people who would come in, I mean, this sounds, dramatic, but it was true. I'd see people in wheelchairs that were leaving walking. I would just see these miracles happen, and I thought, this is kind of cool, this is helping people, which is innately what I think I wanted to do. And it just came together. I thought, well, I'm going to look into this. This is probably going to be what I want to do, and it turned out to be one of the best things I've ever done.
So how does that work to become a chiropractor? What does it take? What did you have to do? What kind of study regimen did you have? If anyone's watching that wants to go in that path, what does it take to become a doctor of anything, let alone chiropractic care?
A lot of school is what it takes. It's very similar time span as a medical degree. It's just we end up getting licensed in different things, right? So it's 4 years undergrad, and then it would be 4 years chiropractic school. And then you would take your boards just like any other physician. Chiropractors are licensed physicians in all 50 states. It's a lot of schooling. And for me specifically, I did more training because I wanted to work with pediatrics. So I have additional training in that, which is a few more years. And then a few more years because I'm also an applied kinesiologist. So that also took more time. So it's a long haul. That's why I did not have my babies right away, because I know that I probably could not have completed all that education and been a mom at the same time. So yes, it's a lot of schooling.
So pediatrics, kinesiology, chiropractic care, that's a lot for one person. Why is it important for you to have so many different perspectives to come to your practice? Why is holistic approach so critical for you? Because I've known you for a while now. I know that's important to you to look at the big picture of things and not just attack a symptom and say that, okay, I'm going to fix this and bandage this up. Where does that come from in terms of your desire for this holistic approach?
Growing up, we were always sick. My brother and I were always, I think the pediatrician probably had chairs with our names on it because we always had strep or some kind of tonsillitis or something. And we grew up just like everybody else, eating processed foods and not really necessarily being educated about what was good or what was not good. That's what people did. Until my mom got very ill, and she got to the point where she couldn't get out of bed. She was having panic attacks. She went the traditional route, and she was told, she was excuse me, for lack of a better word, depressed. And in fact, she wasn't. She was sick and not feeling well because she had a history of multiple car accidents and injuries and a poor diet. And so she started seeing a chiropractor when we were about 12. And when I was about 12, excuse me. And then she started bringing my brother and I. And we never went back to the pediatrician. It was funny because we were constantly there, and it's like we didn't need to go. We started getting adjusted. We started changing our diet. It was life-changing in our house. It was really life-changing. So having that background, seeing my mom where she was, seeing her get better, my brother and I getting better, it just seemed like I want to help other kids. I want to help other families, because this was not hard to do. This was just getting educated, and I feel it's really important to do that. So I think it was just one of those, all the series of things that happened to you to become who you are. I think that was just part of the process, and it just seemed like the natural progression to say, hey, I want to work with kids.
That was actually my next question, which you answered, is, but why specifically kids? And it's because you were a child when you had your first experience with chiropractic care, and it made a big difference in your household. So of course that makes sense now. Some of the things that you do inside your practice, can we talk a little bit about that? What type of services you offer,
Sure.
and who is attracted to come there, and how are they learning about you now? Because it's a new practice in terms of your own, right? You've kind of stepped
Right.
out there. This is your own practice now. You were with the practice of an agency, an organization before. It's one of the largest practices in the area, but you decided it was time for you to step out.
Right.
So actually, let's go back there. What was that like, to make that huge decision, that leap of faith, and said, okay, I'm ready to go out on my own?
It was life-changing. I knew innately that I had grown to the capacity that I was going to grow in the practice that I was in. I learned so much from being there. It was an amazing experience. But I also knew that I wasn't happy doing the same thing every day. And I really wanted a different lifestyle for myself. I wanted to really focus on women and children. Not that I don't see families, but I get excited about working with those populations. And I wasn't able to do that. When you're in a bigger practice, you see a lot of patients and not necessarily the ones that you're maybe the best suited for. And I felt like, you know what, I want to see the patients that I want to see. I want to be able to be more selective. I also want to create a schedule for myself and a life for myself that incorporates my children. Unfortunately, when you work for anybody, you can't do that. You've got, your set times and those type of things. So this way, just the process of thinking about that really clicked for me. I thought, oh, this feels good. Doing what I was doing, it wasn't feeling good anymore, which made me even question if I was doing the right thing.
Right. If you were still
in the right profession, right?
Exactly.
But when I made the choice to go, I'm going to leave and do my own practice the way I would like to practice, I felt amazing. So intuitively, I think we all know, but you do have to take, excuse me, a huge leap of faith sometimes.
So your transition happened so quickly. We talked about it. You were really interested in moving forward with your life, like whatever that looked like. And then a year later, you launched your own practice. Well, that was just amazing. How did that happen? What happened in between you deciding and then actually physically being able to have a space?
A lot. I think the first thing that happened for me was to voice that I didn't want to keep doing the same thing that I was doing. For me, that was huge. And the first person I told was my mother, who actually is a huge part of my life, who works in the practice that I used to work in. And when I told her, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I want to do this. As soon as I said it, I thought, oh no. Oh no, I said it. What's that look like? What's going to happen? And she was amazingly supportive. And then she was asking me a lot of questions. Well, what does that look like? How are you going to pay for it? You can have an idea, and that's all well and good. But if you don't know how to make it happen, it doesn't happen. And so fortuitously, you and I met through a dear friend of mine, and actually sitting with you, not to give you a plug here, but I'm going to do it, really was like you made me sit down and go through, well, Jen, draw it out, literally with markers. I mean, right. I had markers and crayons, you know. What does that look like? How are you going to do it? What do you see? Who are you attracting when you close your eyes or however you visualize that? And I really think that when I went through that process with you, that solidified not only, oh, this looks like this, but I have no fear about it. It's funny because the one thing I'm getting when I meet people, or even patients that I've had that know that I've, left, well, the economy's not very good. So, do you think you were doing, is this a good time for you to do that? You had a job with benefits and security and, how's it going? And very negative messages I was getting. And to be honest with you, not once, Molly, have I thought, oh my God, am I not gonna be able to do this? Did I just do something crazy? Did I just put my family in this horribly financial crisis? It's not even in my psyche. Like, I just knew that's what I needed to be doing.
It truly is amazing when you actually visually see it. When we drew it out and you can visually see your map and your vision. It's happened with me when I left financial services. I had to do this and I drew it out and I have my vision board. I look at it every day and it feels real. Even though it's still a concept, it feels real, like it's gonna happen and I see it. There's something about visualizing what is about to happen or what you already know to have happened in your mind's eye that allows you to keep going. And I tell you, it makes a big difference because so many of us, and me included for many years, walk around with these ideas, these big dreams, and we never put them down somewhere and we never verbalize them. We never put it out into the universe, like they say, right? But the moment that it leaves our physical body through either our writing, our speech, or even like we did with the visioning, the mapping process, it's amazing because you have to take ownership now.
Yeah.
It's yours, it's your dream, you have to claim it, you have to own it. And then it's a matter of taking the little steps to actually make it happen. So, but I think it does come down to first voicing it, right? To be able to articulate, what do I really want?
Well, yeah, and what does that look like and am I letting people down? I think that was another thing I needed to really let go of. I think naturally I'm a caretaker. By the nature of what I do, I take care of patients, I take care of my kids, that's just who I am. And you tend to be a pleaser that way as well. And I really had a big concern of, wow, if I do this, who am I gonna let down? And when it finally just came out, I was like, to heck with it. You know what? It doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't matter because I've been letting myself down. And I didn't like the way that felt. So, I think voicing it was hard, but then you're like, great, you've said your truth. What are you going to do about it, So, and it's interesting too how I said it, I worked with you for months, and then everything just started to fall in line. I found the space that's right next to my home. So it's the closest. When I drew out my picture, like my ideal space would be to work out of my house. Well, living in Northern Virginia, that's not going to happen unless you're in some farm, and that's just not going to happen for me. But literally, I found a space that I could throw a rock from my house to my office and hit it, And
it's true. I've been there, and you could see her home from her office.
Yes.
It's amazing.
And then my children's schools were right next to that, so it affords me the opportunity that if I want to go and have lunch with one of my kids, I can close for an hour because it's my practice, right? And go and eat lunch and come back. So it was just really cool how when you know that you're doing the right thing for you, everything just starts to fall in line. And from the funding to the location, don't get me wrong, it was very long, stressful process. There's tears shed and definitely was not easy to do things that you're not used to, but it all has come together really nicely.
Hello, we're here with Dr. Sims. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Why does it feel like nobody likes me? Everyone thinks I'm a failure.
Why can't I feel happy?
I don't want to be around anyone.
My sadness never goes away.
I can't do anything right.
Do my friends even really like
I always
me?
Life is
worry that
pointless.
I don't deserve
My
it.
parents
Nobody
are
likes me.
disappointed in
I don't want to live anymore.
Unless you've walked in their shoes, you would never know the overwhelming feelings of sadness, anxiety, and hopelessness that cause hundreds of students to take their own lives.
In fact, the number of students we lose to suicide every year would fill an entire high school.
We need to step up.
We need to start the conversation about good mental health.
Help us reverse attitudes and save lives.
The life that you save might be your own, or someone you love.
To learn more, go to attitudesinreverse.org.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Did you take your medicine? Oh gosh, I forgot it.
Her nurse,
You need a claim number?
her personal assistant,
Let me just grab a...
her housekeeper, her cook, her accountant. When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving to connect with experts and other caregivers. Together we can better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Encuentra el bosque más cercano en descubreelbosque.org. El bosque, más cerca de lo que crees.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. The pressure's too much. I quit. I get it. I can do better. Just please, don't leave.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
So, I got this new family. And I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Hi, welcome back to Tea with Mali. We're here today with Dr. Jennifer Sims. Who are you serving now? Are you attracting the people that you ultimately wanted to attract when we worked together? Are you attracting the women and the children? What does that feel like, and how are they finding you, or how are you finding them?
Short answer is yes. Definitely have room for more because I'm growing. But yeah, I'm fine. Well, I've been very blessed that a lot of my patients from my old practice have come with me, and I get a lot of referrals. I do see a lot of large families, so that's also helpful. But they're finding me, a lot of it, honestly, Molly, is between referrals and social media, which ironically I am horrible with. All my friends make fun of me because I'm still the girl who keeps the paper calendar. You know, like, this has been a bit of a challenge for me. It's learning a new language.
Right, absolutely.
You know, it's one thing posting some random Facebook pictures of your weekend versus using social media to really get your message out. When I first started thinking about marketing and letting people know about where I am, I thought, well, don't you just send flyers in the mail? You know? But then I thought about it and I thought, well, what do I do with those flyers? I put them in the trash. Okay, I put them in the recycling. But I realized, wow, I need to get educated about this. And that's the other thing that nobody really tells you. It's one thing being a doctor behind closed doors treating your patients. It's a very different thing running a business.
Yes. You were leading me right into my next question. How has it been being a true entrepreneur? You know, it's one thing, again, to be the doctor and you're doing your thing, you're doing your craft, that's your specialty area. But now you're responsible for much more than just patient to, you know, doctor relationship. You have to actually keep the lights on. You have to actually pay the bills. You have to make sure that the appointments are, you know, that you're not missing appointments or doing crazy things like double booking. So how do you do it? How do you manage that? And what did it take for you to have to shift that mindset?
I was very fortunate that the practice that I was in before, I worked in before I became a physician. So I had the experience of knowing the software. I had the experience of, you know, moving towards paper records to electronic healthcare records, which is how records are being kept moving forward. I had a lot of hands-on with that. The business part, it was challenging. I didn't realize how many different type of insurances. That alone, I need an insurance for this and insurance for this and liability, like things that I never had to worry about because I was in a practice that took care of all that. So yes, the learning curve has been interesting between licenses and business licenses and liabilities and paperwork and all that. It's been fine. I think it uses a different part of my brain, to be honest with you.
Good.
And I also
waking you up.
Exactly. I also find it a lot more creative because I need to be creative to make things happen. Because right now everything falls on me. So I definitely think it's been a challenge, but it hasn't been a negative challenge. I can't say that I'm having anxiety about it or I'm worried about it. It's just, oh, okay, I need to do this way. Okay, learn that.
We went out to lunch together recently and we were in the car and you said something that stayed with me and I wanted to bring it up on this interview. You said, you know what, it is hard. It's really hard. But I'd rather be doing this for me and my family than doing this for somebody else. And it's worth it. And I feel like in the world of entrepreneurship, which a lot of our viewers are or thinking about, there is that line of this is really hard. It is lonely. We have to do this. You have to wear all these different hats. But the rewards are also something you can't explain to anybody else until they live it. You know, the freedom that you have, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like freedom at all because you're working all the time. But you're working because it's your baby. It's the energy around it is different. Would you agree with that?
100%. It's ironic because you want to work for yourself so you don't have to work all the time, but you do work all the time. But I got to tell you, I wake up, I'm excited to go to work. I'm excited that I have a schedule that allows me to take my children to school every day. So I get to start off my day by making sure that their day starts off awesome. And then I get to go to my little office and put my key in the door and turn it and put my lights on. Yes, I have to pay for all of that. But yes, I think a sense of ownership, you have more of an appreciation, you have more of a vested interest in seeing it grow. It is like your baby. And it, like you said, it does come with challenges. It can be hard. I definitely have experienced some things with communication. I've had some disappointments along the way with partnering. I've had a lot of ups and downs, but you know, you got to put your big girl pants on and keep going because you have a bigger purpose, and I think that's what it's about. You have a bigger purpose. It's about helping people. It's about helping families. It's about helping children. So I kind of work on that as being my focus and try not to get too stuck in the minutia of the little, details of things, if that makes sense.
Right, it does. And talking about purpose, when you talk about your practice itself and what you offer, I mean, being able to have a direct impact, I mean, at least right now, and your practice is still growing, you're seeing most of the patients. And yes, you are bringing on partners, and that's definitely a goal. But right now, in the early phases, I can imagine that it's both beautiful and overwhelming because you have direct impact and direct contact with every single patient and their family. You get to actually be a part of that. So let's talk a little bit about your services. What do you offer right now, and where do you want some of the services to go? What's the dream, but what's currently available to those that might be seeking you?
Right now, chiropractic, I do nutrition, a lot of nutrition and counseling with that. I use low-level light laser therapy. That's a big mouthful, but that's something that I offer as well. Some detox programs. I'm currently looking for adding massage and a full-time nutritionist because that's something that I think that's really needed. But I just opened, in June officially. Yes. So it's only been a few months, but on my bigger board, yes. And then long term, I probably will have another physician in there, hopefully in the next year or so, but I don't really want that right now. Right now, I'm really liking the intimate relationship that I'm having with the patients, that they can contact me. Right now when they call, they are talking to Dr. Jen on the phone. If they email me, I am the one emailing them back. There's not somebody else that's doing that. So I think that level of care, honestly, is not very common anymore. And I personally like that. I don't find it to be a burden or frustrating to take a few minutes, because that's all really people need is a few minutes. So yes, I have a lot of ideas and things that I want my business to grow in, but right now I'm focusing on that. I do the applied kinesiology. I work a lot with children with sensory problems, neurological issues, autistic children, children with attention deficit disorder, allergies, asthma. I support all of those conditions. Obviously, I can't do everything by myself. A lot of these children have other physicians working with them, but definitely complementary to what they're doing. And a lot of parents are looking for more natural ways to support their children. So I can offer that, or in conjunction with maybe something else that they're doing. So that's where I really get excited, is to see and get the emails and the letters and, hey, you really made a difference. And a lot of infertility issues as well. A lot of women who are having challenges, who have pretty much gone through all the normal channels and they still can't get pregnant. So chiropractic is beautiful because it works on the nervous system. And sometimes just a simple adjustment, simple change in diet can really make a significant difference in a person's life. So even though right now I don't have a ton of other ancillary things, I have enough that it's making a nice difference, and I hope to grow soon.
Well, here's the point that you just made. A lot of people don't understand chiropractic care and what it means. They just think, okay, I'll just go in, get on a table, and get adjusted, and I'm out the door. I'd like for you to take a few minutes to explain what chiropractic care really is holistically from your standpoint, because of the fact that you have studied kinesiology and use that as part of your practice. Nutrition and diet is extremely important in terms of how you operate with chiropractic care.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit more about your personal philosophy, all the years of training. What have you found when people come in there and they make assumptions about chiropractic care, and how do they leave after they work with you?
Well, I think the assumption is you go to a chiropractor to crack your back, which is awful, but that's what people think, because you got in a car accident or you had some type of structural injury, which obviously is great to see a chiropractor after a motor vehicle accident or any type of injury, childhood or adult. Like, it's very, very important. However, what people don't understand is, yes, you are moving bones, but what is the purpose of that? It is not to just hear clicking and popping 'Cause that's not the purpose of it, although that seems to be what the translation is. The purpose is to enhance nervous system functioning. You've got bones. You've got 24 movable bones in the spine. You've got 31 pairs of nerves that branch off of that spine. And those nerves go to muscles and organs. So when you make an adjustment or you perform a chiropractic adjustment on a person, you are affecting the muscles, the organs, the nerves. Those muscles and organs, that's your stomach. When you've got a stomach ache, that's your thyroid, that's your liver, that's your gallbladder, that's your heart. So there's indirect ways that the adjustment affects those organ systems, and it's really powerful, especially when you've been walking around with parts of your spine that have been really locked up because of injuries, right? Or posture,
or sitting all day.
Or sitting all day,
on
right?
Your computer, which
right.
a lot of us in this area do.
Exactly. So I think there's this misconception that you only go when you are in pain or you have an injury, and that's really not the case. So I can't stress enough the importance of an adjustment and how gentle it can be. I also think there's a misconception that you're being rotated and twisted and all of these weird things are happening. And yes, there is movement in your spine, but it does not have to be forceful. I work with newborns. I just saw one yesterday that I helped the mom through. I adjusted her through her entire pregnancy, and she just brought me the baby yesterday. Working with infants, they're mostly cartilage at this point. You can't, provide a very hard thrust on a new spine. So I am trained, just like other doctors are trained, to know how to work with these growing bodies. And it can be extremely gentle. And there's definitely there's several ways to enhance nervous system function. But that's the bottom line. You're making a change in the nervous system. Symptomatic, or you hear clicking and popping, but that's not what it's about. And if that alone, people could just get that, I don't think they would be as scared. Or I don't know, we've just always gotten a bad rap, and I'm not really sure why, because most people when they do get under chiropractic care feel amazing.
I think this is the first time many of our viewers are hearing how you describe chiropractic care. It really is the whole body and the nervous system in particular, because we just think it's posture and it's just making sure that I feel, my lower back doesn't hurt. Like they focus on the lower back and not the whole thing, which is fascinating to me, because I think that every different field of medicine, right, or in your case, the holistic world too, alternative therapies and stuff, there's always misconceptions. We get so much information. It's overloaded on the internet.
Right.
You go on Google and you don't even know what to believe. So I think it's extremely critical that you have a specialist, and you also have a specialist who does have partnerships and who does work with other physicians.
Yes.
So that you can get second opinions. And so do you find that to be a challenge for people in terms of like choosing you and then having any trust issues because it's not your normal medical practice? Chiropractic is still kind of this thing that's like, it's maybe a luxury.
Right.
It's not really, an absolute, I have to go there.
It's changing. It's really changing, because I noticed this a lot with women's health and pediatrics. A lot of people don't want to be so medicated. So they want options. And I always tell them, the antibiotics are always there. Don't worry, they're not going anywhere. Like, the drugs will always be there. But why don't we try this first? And then I always tell them this too. I'll be the first person to tell you when you need to go see your medical physician. But you don't always need to run and get a medication. 9 times out of 10, especially for children, and their issues, it's very simple things that you can do to support them. The climate is changing. I think people are becoming more educated. I think because of social media. People are blasting their opinions, good or bad, everywhere. It's getting people to think, oh, if so-and-so does this, well, it can't be that bad, I'll try it. Or, I also get that people, I've tried everything else. Why not?
Exactly.
And they're usually pleasantly surprised. Wow, I wish I had tried this. I wish I had tried this earlier. So I think that the more education, which is really important to me, that people have about what chiropractic is, where it belongs, because I think every profession has its niche, where it belongs. How can it can complement what you are already doing, or it can be your primary way of doing things. And I have both. I have some that I'm the main physician that they see, and I have others that see several other people, and they're fine with that, and I'm fine with that, because at the end of the day, you're just there to support the patient.
Right. Is there ever a right time to go see someone like you? For instance, if there are parents watching and they have children who are no longer infants or are no longer, you know, in that preteen, but they're literally young adults now, and they're about to hit off into the world, but they're still having some emotional issues and maybe having some disability learning issues, all these things that we talked about, ADHD. Is it ever too late for a young person?
No. The nervous system is really, really cool. It is. And there's so many things that you can do to enhance it, but you got to know what to do. And so, no, I don't ever think there's a wrong time or it's too late. Clearly, as you know, the younger you get anybody, the better it is for them. But that's with any condition, right? Unfortunately, once we hit 25, we start to degenerate. But no, I don't think there's ever a wrong time. In fact, I see a lot of kids right before they go off to college, and support them and see what they need and kind of educate them before they go off.
So let's talk a little bit about prenatal care. That's near and dear to me because that's a phase in my life that I'm really considering starting a family. So prenatal care, what does that entail? When should someone come to see you? Is it when they get pregnant, before they get pregnant, and what's the process like working with you?
I say they should come before they even get pregnant, and they should come throughout their whole pregnancy. There's a lot of data that's out there that shows that if the spine is in alignment and the hips are at neutral, statistically you have a better, shorter vaginal birthing process. I say vaginal because C-sections are a little bit more challenging. But yeah, so I always like my patients to come before they're pregnant because we can have a conversation about it. What are you looking for? Are you trying to have a vaginal birth? What does that look like? You know, do you want to do it completely holistically? Are you looking at having a baby in a hospital? Do you want a midwife? Do you want a doula? Because I also work with midwives and doulas and even regular OBGYNs just to support them to kind of get where they're going. Talk to them about nutrition. You can't keep drinking those Diet Cokes if you want a healthy baby. You know? So I think it's always better to start before, and then of course being adjusted during your pregnancy. You can ask pretty much most pregnant women at some point in their pregnancy, their back hurts, their butt hurts, their legs hurt, they're swollen, they can't sleep. You know, there's something that's, you know, you're growing a life, it's a little uncomfortable at times. So chiropractic is really nice to help offset some of those symptoms that you can get when you're pregnant.
How do you distill fears though? You know, and I can see people saying, well, if I'm pregnant and I'm carrying a child, I don't want to be moving around, and what if they make a mistake? How do you, and not just with pregnant women, I think everybody who goes in, if they're in any type of chronic pain, there's a fear of, well, what if it gets worse?
Right.
You know, what do you say to someone who is afraid to try it because they're afraid the worst case scenario could happen?
I simply tell them, I treat babies. I do. I treat newborns. And nothing that I'm going to do to you is going to put you in a position where you're going to be hurting. Because I've been trained to deal with the most delicate of delicate, I'm not going to be rough. I also have certifications, and they can see on my wall. And honestly, most women that come to me, they have hesitation, but their pain supersedes the hesitation. And honestly, a lot of OBGYNs are referring to doctors or chiropractors who are certified in something called the Webster technique, which is a technique that's very specific to pregnancy and the hips and babies that often are in a malposition. I'm getting referrals. Their OBGYNs are like, I can't help you. You know, why don't you try this? So I that's pretty much my conversation.
Pretty
You
good
know,
answer.
I treat babies. So if I've got moms entrusting me with the most precious thing, you know, it's your call. You can do it. You can be in fear, or we can try this and we can see how you feel. So, but I do think it is important to see someone who's qualified, because not every chiropractor likes to treat pregnant women. Not every chiropractor has the training to treat pregnant women. So that may be a time where you're seeing a certain chiropractor and you may want to switch to something like I do, and then you can go back after. Of course. So that's usually what I tell them.
Yeah, it's definitely going back to the concept of having your niche, having your area of expertise, having the place where you know that you excel in your certifications, whatever supports that desire to help a specific target market. And so, I mean, like you said, somebody might not be pregnant now or not interested in being pregnant, but they may have, you know, someone that they know. They might not send them to their chiropractor, but they might want to send them to you, right? It's a partnership. Who takes care of you? How do you take care of, I mean, you're the one servicing people all the time. You're giving care all the time. Who's taking care of your body? Besides, of course, your own nutrition. Do you actually go and get your massage therapy? Do you get adjusted? What's your regimen?
I do get adjusted. I do get adjusted every week, in fact, just because the standing joke is chiropractors have the worst spines, because we are flexed over a table all day servicing other patients, right? Taking care of other patients. So yes, I do get adjusted. I do not get as many massages as I would like to get in, to be honest with you, but I am working on that. And that's one thing that, I'm happy you brought that up. That's one thing that I am working on, because you're working full time, raising 2 children. It's hard, just like any other parent, just like any other person who's got a very full life, to say, okay, it's my time. I need to do this for myself. But yes, I do get adjusted. It's really, really important, actually, to my health and for me to be able to do what I do.
Have you uncovered your passions besides the industry and your work and your practice and you as a doctor? Now that you had some time to really think about your vision and what you want, and you've manifested this business, have you taken time to figure out what Jen really likes to do? What do you actually enjoy outside of work? Or is that still a work in progress?
It's still a work in progress, but I will say that with my end game, I'd really like to teach. I think it still goes back to being that little girl who said, I want to be a teacher. So I think that at some point I'd like to be able to teach more, because I know that when you just give even a little bit of information, people take that and they go and they get it and they make changes because it's simple. Right. And I think that we are lacking in proper education and how to take care of ourselves. That there's such a market for taking care of yourself means you have to be medicated. It's a sickness. It's a sickness mentality, and we do not have to have that. And so for me, being able to tell as many people as I can, there's other ways. There's other ways to do things for you, for your family, and the medium to do that for me would be teaching. So that's somewhere in all that. And I do lectures. I was out till after 10 o'clock last night lecturing to a bunch of amazing women about women's health care and wellness and what they can do for themselves. So I do it in little pockets, but I would like to actually be able to do that more.
And what topics do you focus on? Because you've lectured a lot in the past as well. I know you want to do more of it. Mm-hmm. But now underneath your own umbrella of Blue Sky Health and Wellness, where do you want to focus your lectures, your topics, the things that really you think matter to the market that you want to serve?
Pediatric kids and sensory problems. There's, Molly, and even in our lifetime, I can't even tell you how many sick children there are. I'm going into my 13th year of practice, and am mortified because these kids are coming in with problems that adults have. It's not okay. It's a problem. So there's a lot of sensory damage to children. There's a lot of children who are struggling daily just to feel good in their own skin. And if I could help, a family, a child, feel better, figure out how to work with themselves. My older one's a little quirky, and I think it's great that he's a little quirky. But kids need to learn tools to take care of themselves. And I would like to be able to do that. So yes, things that have to do with sensory problems, the nervous system, those type of things for sure. And then women's wellness, because I think that goes hand in hand. I think if you have a healthy mother, you have a healthy pregnancy, you start your child off with, as holistic and clean as possible. Hopefully, keeping fingers crossed, they don't have to go through the struggles that maybe other families do. So I think those two groups are still my passion. Those are the things I like to talk about. Those are the things I research the most. Those are the things I take my continuing ed in. Those are the things I keep up with.
How did it translate to home? You mentioned your quirky son. Do you have two?
Oh, I have two.
And, being able to watch and witness as a mother, and then being able to see moms come in there and understand, truly be empathetic to their experience as a mother who have quirky children or have children who truly have more serious problems.
Right.
How do you then kind of take that hat on and off, because it's so personal to you?
That's been very much a challenge. I have two little boys, and they're both very different. And the younger one in particular has sensory issues. So one, I feel blessed that I am aware of that, and we can work through it. Is it easy? No, it is not. And I am very empathetic and sympathetic and whatever pathetic you can throw in there, because I know when those parents are coming in and they're looking at me like, Jen, I don't even know what to do anymore. I look at them and I'm like, I totally get it. I have the same exact days in my house sometimes. I think that's also being being a parent. So managing it from a parental aspect, to be honest with you, I can't remember, but you probably know because you just know so many things. It's part of a poem that's always in my head. And I just always keep recycling it over and over. And the gist of it is that children come through you, not to you. And I always really hold on to that. That is the only thing I hold on to. That, Jennifer, it's not your journey. It's their journey. And although you want to pull out every hair in your head, because some days it's just a lot to manage on top of your other things in your life, I tell myself, you know what? This is their journey. For whatever reason, they're going through this, and somewhere I pray that this is going to serve them to be the person that they need to be. And I'm here to guide them and do the best that I can, and that's all I can do. But honestly, that's what I hold on to. I keep going, okay, it's not my journey, it's not my journey. Feels like my journey, but it's not my journey. So yeah, the parenting is a lot of work, and you think once they get out of diapers, it's easy. Once they sleep, it's easy. And it's not that it's easier, it's just different. It's just different, and you just have to take every day like it comes, but I am very empathetic. I think that especially when you have a child who requires more of your time, it's a lot to deal with some days.
Talking about personal journeys. Your children are on theirs,
yes,
and you happen to be part of it. Your journey, you happen to be on it,
yes,
and there's a lot of people a part of it. Mm-hmm. How do you continue to make sure that you're in alignment spiritually, personally? Obviously you're in the medical field, so you have to be cognizant of being health conscious and
right,
being, making sure that you're serving your body physically and doing that. But how do you keep everything in check? Are you sane in terms of, like some days when just things are crazy, you're a mom, you're a doctor, you serve so many people. How do you know that you're centered? How do you center yourself?
Honestly, I take a few minutes every morning before I start my day. And I wouldn't say I'm as evolved as saying it's meditating, but you could call it that. To just kind of connect with myself, I shut the door, I give myself a few minutes before I start the day. When I have more time, I do more. But I think that that's one thing I do. The other thing is I honor the fact that when I'm tired, I go to sleep. Honestly, that's one thing that if I could somehow get back, I would pay whatever it took, because I think sometimes we tend to, okay, well, the kids are in bed, so I'm going to work more, or I'm going to do this. And that's one thing I made an agreement with myself a long time ago. If I am tired, I am going to bed. And I don't care if it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday, I will go to bed. I think that I'm learning to listen to my body's cues on when I'm overwhelmed or when I need a timeout. So I do that. And my kids will be the first one to tell you, yeah, mommy takes time out. I do. So it's definitely a work in progress. It's definitely something that
I'm happy to hear you're resting more.
Yes, I'm working on. It's a struggle from time to time, but I'm aware of it. And I know that those are the things that help me do what I need to do to help other people. So if I don't take care of myself, and that's the thing, Molly, I'm a one-man show right now. So if I'm sick or I'm run down, no one's coming into work for me. Right? There's no backup. I'm it.
You have to take care of yourself.
So I have to take care of myself. And I think the universe is letting me know that I need to take care of myself. So I'm working on it.
So any projects going on? I know that this is big for you, this project of growing the business itself, but do you have any side projects or anything that you are excited to share but maybe not ready to share too many details on yet?
Honestly, just more of my speaking engagements. I had one last night. I have one coming up on, I just added essential oils to my practice, so I'm super excited about that. It can empower so many people to take care of themselves at home, you know. Just more speaking engagements. This year I'm just trying to get used to the rhythm of everything. Hopefully, like I said, adding a massage therapist soon. You and I have discussed that as well, looking for that.
And someone who specializes prenatal
in prenatal care. And my real wish list would be prenatal care and pediatrics.
Anybody out there?
Yes, so if you know of anybody. So yeah, right now, and learning to have some downtime in there. So right now, those are my main goals. But speaking is one thing. I am available to speak. I love it. I will, within reason, I will drive. I don't send me to DC unless you're picking me up. I will get lost. But yes, right now that's kind of like what I'm really focusing on, is doing more teaching, educating, letting people know what I'm about, letting people know what they can do to take care of themselves. So that's where my focus has been.
Any thoughts, any final thoughts for those that are seeking support, looking for someone like you, or didn't even know they were looking for someone like you until they saw this today? What are the first steps of educating themselves on what this really is, the whole concept of holistic, and under chiropractic care, of course, but holistic, taking care of your entire system?
So you start simple. Just start reading. Start getting educated about what is holistic care, or even do the antithesis of that. Look at the medical system. Do you see yourself with dementia? Statistically, if we're going the way we're going, they say 80% of the population is going to have dementia. A lot of that is a do-it-to-yourself process with the things that we eat, the artificial sweeteners we put in our body, the environmental load. Think about it. Where do you see yourself? How do you see yourself aging? And if you see yourself vibrant and happy and alive, then you really need to take a leap of faith. If you're scared, have a consultation. You don't have to go in to an office like mine or anybody else's and feel like you have to get a treatment that day. Make phone calls, interview, be open-minded to just learning. Go to a free class. I give them all the time, and just start seeking those things out. And like I said, I think the bigger picture is, where do you see yourself? If you see yourself in a home and someone taking care of you, well, then I'm not the person for you. But if you see yourself living a really great life, then honestly, I don't see it happening for the future unless you take the time to learn how to take care of yourself from a holistic standpoint. I could be wrong, but I don't really see another way.
Take ownership of your own body and your own happiness.
Right.
Your own health.
So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This
has
been fun.
I know, it has been fun. Can you tell our audience how to reach you on social media or otherwise, where they can find you? You
can reach me on Facebook at Blue Sky Health and Wellness. I am Dr. Jen Sims on Twitter. I think I'm on Google Plus now as Dr. Jen. I'm having a little bit of a challenge with that. My website, www.blueskyhealthandwellness.com, and I try to keep all of my most current events on there as well. So there's lots of ways. You can call me. 703-975-9144. I answer my own phones, so there's that.
Thank you again for being here. You shared a lot of amazing information today, and I hope that people reach out, that they are choosing to invest in their health and their wellness, and now they have someone who is actually willing to take them on and
Yes.
have a personal relationship with them. So I hope everyone is really taking notes, and you can find Jen on her website is probably the best, right? Or
Yeah.
just Google her name, but it's blueskyhealthandwellness.com.
.com.
All right. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to Tea with Mali, and we will see you next time.
Me dijeron que no debía soñar. Me llamaron pedazo de basura y juraron que eso es todo lo que llegaría a ser. Dijeron que una botella no podría ver el océano. Ríndete. Regresa al basurero. Pero no les hice caso. Me abrí paso. Y ahora estoy aquí. Soy lo que siempre quise ser.